On this episode of the Post House Podcast, we talk to our jack of all trades, a guy whose imagination has taken him from the medieval times to the not so far off future. Producer and designer, Tony Adkins.
All right, here we are again.
Hey.
Back at the Post House Podcast with Tony. So, Tony, you're a podcast enthusiast, so this should be fun, right?
Yeah.
So you're motion graphics, editor, producer, creative here at Post House. Let's talk a little bit about yourself. So, how'd you get into this business and
industry?
why?
It started in high school. I was really into the Renaissance Festival, so
Taking notes here.
Oh yeah, super into the Renaissance Festival, and I love Lord of the Rings and pretty much any fantasy nerd stuff. And I was watching the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings, and I wanted to be a prop maker, and then that kind of just funneled into filmmaking as a whole. My senior year in high school, we had a capstone project, and I chose to do a short film. It was a fan fiction-based film on the NBC show Heroes. I can't find it anywhere. I wish I still had it. It was fun. And yeah, from there, I just had this passion for filmmaking, and I have learned and still continue to learn anything I can about it.
So when we put out the job posting, you were at Channel 6. So Channel 6 have a history with some Channel 6ers here. I was at Channel 6, so that drew my attention. I think you were probably a referral from someone. I think Andrew may have got word that there was someone at Channel 6 that could fit the role, and then came on. And I remember in the interview process that it's like, man, this guy sounds a lot. He's got a similar history to me. He's driving like 80 miles a day to work and back at really early hours because you're working a morning shift. So obviously your work was good. You had the passion. So we brought you on. So that was how long ago, man?
It's been 2 years.
2 years. So
2 years and a month or something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, we've done a lot of projects. Seen a lot of growth, some things happening, and then we went through the Story Forge process, right? And what we really found out was we distilled everything down to where basically what we want Post House to be is a place for personal, professional, and creative fulfillment. So knowing that your passion is filmmaking and storytelling, tell me a little bit about how that fulfillment happens here at Post House for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm in a solo case here. Everyone here has a passion for movie making, and it's nice when we can do what we love at work. So the professional, personal, and creative kind of all get funneled. There's separate things. We all have our own hobbies and stuff, but I think it all gets funneled pretty into one. I don't know. I mean, a lot of the projects we work on here kind of fit all those needs. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, I would say, for sure. So I get to work on a lot of different things in a lot of different ways, whether it's motion graphics, editing, shooting, setting up audio for a podcast.
Right. Well, okay. So like on a personal fulfilling side, tell me a little bit about that. Like what's personally fulfilling about the project that you get to work on, the people you get to work with, the interactions you have with clients and staff members and freelancers, and the personal side.
One of my favorite things about the filmmaking industry is filmmaking is definitely a team project. Right. You can do it alone, but it's way more fun and better when you have a team. Seeing a project from the beginning stages all the way through is probably the biggest personal fulfillment I get.
Okay. Yeah.
We just did a short film for Ronald McDonald House, where you kind of came back from a committee meeting and we're like, hey, we're going to make this video. We should do a short film. And I was like, let's do this. And seeing, this something's missing kernel of an idea,
right.
Start in one of our staff meetings, and then we just ping pong back and forth, and then Scott went and wrote something, and then I took that and broke it all down, and we sat for a couple of hours and just kind of talked about everything, and going from that to being on set, and it was bam, 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 things had to get done.
Yeah, we were a short time frame. We had a deadline for to launch it at a meeting. So yeah. it was a not necessarily ready, fire, aim, because we had a pretty good backing and we had a great story, but it really was, we had to do it. We just had to do it. Like if we kept waiting on the right time, it might never get done. So we had a deadline, which was great. So it kind of forced us into doing it. And I remember in that process that, that this is where, I've known what Tony likes to do, but having Tony involved from like soup to nuts is super important, and it's, you're very passionate about it. I think we had a lunch conversation where we talked about these things, and I just remember going, this is where Tony hits all his strides, is where he doesn't have to be like in the weeds on everything, but liking to know the process from start to end. And then, really from a producer standpoint, like, you were the producer on this, right? You helped line all the stuff up, and, we had the casting, and we, brought the guy up, Ryan up from Florida, and then, the location, we call our props guy and like, okay, well, what do we need? A truck? Okay, I know a guy's got a truck, right?
Yeah.
We'll call Todd. Todd's got things, but it ended up being like this very rural feeling thing that just fit out kind of where we're from, right? Out there in Lincoln County. So, it was nice and a good process. And, I knew at that point, like, that you wanted to see it through, and there's some really great visual effects on it. Just to kind of, I think, you had a big part in the color process and making it feel right, and just the overall storytelling. So it was a great project, and I could tell at that time that it was checking your boxes.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
So when we do a project like the Ron McDonald, where you got to do it last minute, and we got to call on friends, and we might have, because that's pro bono. It was a pro bono shoot, and it's a pro bono project. We really had to reach out to our networks and our relationships to help get that project done. Tell me a little bit about, like, at Post House, like how those long-term relationships really matter, and getting things done on a day-to-day, or the relationships that matter, in the office. Like, tell me about the fulfillment that comes from those relationships.
Yeah. I always look at it like everybody knows somebody.
Right.
And it could be just some random guy in the office, or some, person maybe that you wouldn't have known to have access to certain things. But if you reach out, more than likely people are willing to help. And, like, personally, here at Post House, if there's a t-shirt that needs to be made, Tony's got a t-shirt guy, Rick's got a t-shirt guy, or girl. So we all come from different backgrounds, and it's fascinating to see who knows who. I come from a tech background. In high school, I did a lot of tech classes. I thought I was going to be a computer programmer or software engineer. That didn't happen. And so it's like, oh, if there's an IT issue, Tony might know some people. Or, like, we're from rural Ohio. We know guys who have trucks and have hunting equipment and, things like that. So, relationships are super important. In the long run, the big picture, it's really all we have.
It's true.
I think, on the earth, when, I have a weird view of life, I guess. Life in relative terms is very short in our mind, but it's the longest thing we will do as people.
That's an interesting insight, but it's true. Yeah. Like the start and end of life, that is it, right?
Yeah.
So,
it's 100 years relatively in our minds, that we think like, oh, time goes by really, really fast. But in the grand scheme of the earth and the universe, it's like 100 years is nothing.
Right.
So what are we going to do in this 100 years? We interact with people, we build these relationships. I think it's important. Relationships and experiences, why we're here. Talking about, I mean, relationships at the office. I love the people I work with. It makes coming into work very easy.
From a client standpoint, like, we talk a lot about it's not really this project that we're working on. It's like the next project, and it's really building that relationship so that we can be the team that someone calls to help fix their problems. Like someone's got needs a creative solution. We want to be that person. So the relationships that we build, not only with our staff and our clients, and then our vendors and our freelancers, like all those things, to your point, like, yeah, like your relative time of, being in this industry or being a professional, maybe it's 20, 30 years. Some people bow out after 5, they can't do it. So the relationship part is super important. It's super, it means so much to me. And that's what drives me every day, is like, how can we help continue to build this relationship, or how can we go out there and find a new relationship? Because to your point, at the end of the day, like, that's what we have. And, for me, there's always been that blur, because I've been, I've, like you, started really, really young and in this industry and in this craft, and it was my hobby, and it turned my profession. But then all my relationships kind of revolved around my business and my, the thing that I did for a living. So they went hand in hand. Obviously, as I got older and a little more mature, you break away from the people that you spend 40 hours a week with, and you go have other friendships, and develop your other areas of your personal fulfilling side. But when it can blend all together, I feel like that is where the magic happens. Yeah. So but to wrap it all up, I mean, relationships do matter. And to your point, and I think you said it very well, like, all we really have at the end of the day is the relationships and experiences. So let's talk a little bit about those experiences. Like, we get to do a lot of cool stuff, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Good variety of things.
Yeah.
Your filmmakers, tell me a little bit about your short film that you did last year, and that project, and how that was creatively fulfilling, and how you get to work with some of the people that you worked with in that short film. You've worked with in other things, not only the staff members, but actresses and.
Yeah. Last year, well, every year they do a thing out of Cincinnati called Winter Film, and it's a 1 month long little local film competition. We like it better than the 48 because it gives us a month.
Right.
And
a little more planning. Tony likes planning.
Yeah. So last year they decided Tony's going to write and direct this one. So I was like, all right. And I was racking my brain for an idea. And I was looking at like creative writing prompts, and I saw the perfect sunset. And for some reason that sparked this huge climate change debate in my head. And I wrote this story about how the Earth's surface is no longer inhabitable because of climate change. And the government had built these underground cities, basically. They just took everything from the surface, moved it underground. And we don't get into it in the short film because it's only 10 minutes long, but I had this grandiose idea of there's this secret society who still lives on the surface. The government is lying to you. So my character,
they're listening.
Yeah. My character was this female lead. She was born underground, so she has no idea about the surface, but her mother was the first generation moved to underground. So she remembers the sunshine and things like that, like plants. And she's always instilling in her daughter that there is a world out there, and always question everything. So this girl grows up. Her mother is out of the picture now. We don't talk about that in the film. So she's mid-20s, and she's hacking away at her computer, and she receives this postcard, which is weird. They still do snail mail. Basically, it tells her like there is a way out of this government facility. So she finds it, and she realizes, oh, there's a sunset, or there's the sun and the world above ground. And yeah, so one of our child actress, Ellie. She's a post house friend, and she did a rockin' job as one of our characters. She was actually in the Ronald McDonald piece, which is awesome.
She was in Sweet Princess. You know, she was in the Lammy movie. She's been around.
Yeah, she's all
Good
over.
Friend.
She's got a bigger reel than most of us. And I call a lot on people from Post House because I, see them every day. John was our DP. Andrew was our producer. That was when Lincoln actually first started, and he lived out in Granville at the time, which is out near me. And I was like, Lincoln, you should come over and hang out. We were shooting in my house in the basement. You should come over and hang out and be on set with us. So that was his cool introduction to everybody and the process. So yeah, I really enjoyed working on it. It was a month of just like grueling. That's all I thought about.
Right.
I wrote it in 2 weeks. We shot it in a weekend, and then I sat, after work, I'd go over to our editor's house and we would just sit and fine tune and figure out how to get it into 10 minutes because that was the most difficult part. So, there are creative editing things we could do. And that's when I first met our producer and MoGraph guy here, Joe. And I did not know Joe very well at all. And I was like, hey, Joe, do you want 30 VFX shots? So I sent him all this raw footage, and he came back with this amazing VFX stuff. It was basically blank computer monitors that he put stuff in. And yeah, after the whole process, they had a screening down in Cincinnati, and I would say we kind of swept the awards.
Yeah, I mean, didn't you guys win like every award except for like 2 or something?
I mean, we were nominated for a lot, and we won a lot. So yeah, no, it was an awesome experience, and that's what really gets me going, is seeing it from start to finish. And I mean, yeah, the awards are great, but it's like, I get more of a kick when people come up to you after the showing and they're holy moly, how did you guys pull that off?
Right. The conversation afterwards is because everyone we talk about it a lot. Everybody loves the process.
Yeah.
And, you were inspired in this industry by the process, by the behind the scenes. And, that's still my favorite thing is, everybody sees the end product or, you might receive an award for the end product, but it really, to me, it's a reflection of the process, right? And it's like, man, those are really satisfying, really fulfilling moments when you put a lot of work into something and a lot of work that's not even on the screen, and then you get the statue for it or the plaque.
Yeah.
That's to me, that's the rewarding side of it. That the statue is whatever, but to have that memory of man, you know what? They didn't know we built this thing, or they didn't know we made that prop, or there's 9 versions of this. Or
there is still movie magic out there.
Right. And I think that's one of the things that, as creative problem solvers, we always are we're tasked with how do we do this? Right. And sometimes the smoke and mirrors, literally we built mirrors for the Blue Jackets thing. How many times? 6 different times. I felt like,
Yeah. Man, that was a crazy
prop
process.
master, prop builder. But yeah, 80-pound mirrors that we made, and it really was a mirror trick. Smoke and mirrors, 100%. So, you get your hands dirty on those things. So that's
for
fun,
sure.
Right?
Yeah. Another hobby of mine is woodworking, and it was funny when you and John were sitting in the pit talking about this setup, and you're like, Tony, you want to build some mirrors? And I was like, sure, why not? And I had never built a Hollywood fake wall.
3-wall flat or whatever.
So
thank
goodness there's YouTube. Went and learned and built these walls in your garage, and was very unaware of how heavy 4-foot by 8-foot mirrors can be. And we loaded them up into the back of the Sprinter, and away we went. And yeah, they're massive. They're massive walls still sitting at the arena.
And then they have they come and pave my driveway that day, so we had to take the wall
that's
around
right.
and carry it because we couldn't even get down
that's
the long
right.
driveway. Yeah, I remember those days. But yeah, so I'm gonna do a little quick rapid fire stuff.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, we prepare.
Yeah, prepare. I did a little background this time. I think I did it with Andrew. It was totally blank. But all right, so what's your favorite coffee bean?
I don't have a bean in particular, but I like dark roasted coffee.
What about a region? Is there a region that you like better?
Yeah, region doesn't matter to me.
Not region. Okay.
Fair trade.
Okay, big Harry Potter fan. Favorite Harry Potter movie?
Prisoner of Azkaban.
What about the book?
Probably Prisoner of Azkaban.
Really? Same one?
Yeah. It's really close between Prisoner and Order of the Phoenix. Those are probably my two favorite books and movies.
Gotcha. Okay, iPhone or other?
It's funny you bring this up. I've been in the iPhone cult for a while, and I just purchased a Google Pixel 3. And unfortunately, they haven't sent it to me. It's been delayed 5 times. So Google, please get on that.
Gotcha. Okay, top 3 bands.
Flogging Molly. Frank Sinatra.
Ooh.
And I've been really into the White Buffalo lately.
White Buffalo.
The White Buffalo. If you
familiar.
haven't, they're really good. The guy's got a super deep, grungy voice. The band wrote songs for Sons of Anarchy.
Okay, yeah.
It's good. Just check them out. White Buffalo.
Last one. It's a tough one.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Harry Potter.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of fun nuggets, right? You like Harry Potter? You got a pretty cool tattoo. Tell me a little about your Harry Potter tattoo.
The story behind that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I moved out to where I'm living now in 7th grade, and my first friend, his name is Devin. We became buds all through middle school and high school. He was getting married, and I was the best man, and I said, as my gift, we're going to go get tattoos, which might be stupid now. But we both wanted a Deathly Hallows symbol. And he wanted it on his hand, and the tattoo artist said, no, especially if you're getting into teaching, I'm not tattooing your hand. So he got it on his chest, and he's a pretty big, hairy guy, so they shaved him up, and it was his first tattoo, so he got the Deathly Hallows on his chest, and a quote. I can't remember what the quote was. And then this was my second tattoo. I laid down, and I have it on the back of my arm, and I fell asleep. And the tattoo artist, he was super, super nice. But yeah, that's the story behind that. We both love Harry Potter. Yeah, so that's what we got. Bachelor party, little treat.
No, it's funny because I didn't read the books because I was a little bit older, but my kids like the books.
Yeah.
And my daughter read the books over the summer, and then every time she read a book, I told her we would watch the movie. So we read the book, watch the movie, and then the Deathly Hallows story comes on. You know, and I'm just like, that's like, it's one of the like most visually like stunning like presentations in like all, in my opinion, in the whole series.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I really love that story. And my daughter goes, Tony has that tattoo. I'm like, what? Like, Tony has that tattoo. It's like, yeah, he's got a Deathly Hallows tattoo on his arm. I was
That's
like,
funny.
that's what that is? It's like, I just thought it was a triangle. Like, oh, okay, yeah. That's right. He does.
That's funny. So kids get a kick out of it. I was in Hawaii last year, and we were in, it was a grocery store, Foodland, I think. And then there was a little coffee shop inside, and we're waiting for our coffee. And I'm just kind of looking out, people watching as I do. And this little surfer kid behind me sees my tattoo, and I'm facing away from him, and he just goes, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And I'm like, what? And his dad's like, oh my God, he loves the books. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, we got the tattoo. But it was just a funny experience that this kid was screaming in the middle of a coffee shop.
That's fun. Tell me a little bit about your Hawaiian vacation. Last year you got to take a little time, and it was like a wedding and some other things.
Yeah. So my girlfriend's best friend from childhood, their moms were friends growing up, and then they grew up together. She got engaged to a guy in the Navy. He's stationed in Hawaii, in Honolulu, and the thing was, she's like, I'll pay for the plane. And we are renting a house for it was a really small wedding. It was just their parents and siblings and us. And my girlfriend's a photographer, and she said, Shannon,
you help out with that stuff too.
Yeah, I second shoot a lot. Yep. And she said, I'll pay for the plane if you guys shoot the wedding. And we're like, okay.
Done.
Yeah, done. That it was the longest plane ride I've ever been on. It doesn't match the New Zealand trip that Andrew and John just took, but yeah, it was. We flew out at, 6 a.m., had an hour layover in LAX, and then got to Honolulu. and you want to stay awake. It's like, I'm here. I want to go experience stuff.
Not in the cards.
Yeah, no, we crashed definitely really hard. But the first few nights, we went a few days early. We stayed in a little Airbnb. It was basically a converted shed with an outdoor bathroom, which was cool. You shower and do other things outside. So it was like this beautiful, beautiful cedar fence for the bathroom, and you look up and you see palm trees while you're showering. So yeah, it was like a 10-day trip. The wedding was on the beach, of course. It was gorgeous. It was right at sunset. There was this dog that kept interrupting the ceremony. It was like half Christian, half Hawaiian. So he had like a shell that he blew into, and as long as he blew into the shell, they had to kiss. It was really funny.
That's pretty good.
But wherever I travel to, I eat.
Okay.
So
and you bring back coffee beans. That's the thing. That's the thing in the office. Like everybody who travels, we bring back coffee.
Yeah.
So when you say you were like, jack of all trades, you're a master of coffee. Let's be serious.
I mean, I do like my coffee. And it was cool because we actually went to a coffee farm on the island, and it was like, oh, this coffee was grown right out there, and I'm drinking it now, which was cool. But yeah, so my biggest thing was I gotta eat. I gotta eat the local food. So I had Kahlua pork, which is where they take the pig and put it in the sand for 12 to 24 hours, and it was the most tender pork I've ever had. We probably ate at this breakfast joint 6 times.
Yeah, we saw your Instagram. It was did they eat anywhere else other than this food truck?
Yeah, the food trucks were amazing, but it was called the Beatbox, and they had this sandwich that I cannot stop thinking about, and I will go back for that sandwich. It was a breakfast sandwich, so good. Coffee was delicious. But yeah.
So photography is one of your hobbies. You like you say, you second shoot. You're also a drone operator.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to talk about it, but you had some beautiful drone footage in Hawaii because you took a drone. What happened with that drone?
So, my buddy and I bought a drone. It was like a Phantom 3, and he let me borrow it for like 6 months. He bought it, and I flew it. And I had never had an incident. So we're going to Hawaii, and I was like, I need something I can travel with. So I bought the Mavic Air. Fit in my carry-on, no questions asked. Yeah,
great little tool.
So I'm flying it all over Hawaii. Great footage. And our last day there, we went to a place called Mermaid's Cove, and it is volcanic rock that kind of jets out over the ocean. But you can climb down in these coves. And depending on what the tide is like, you can walk out closer, or you're way, way far back towards the land. And there's these big, massive holes that you can jump into. And there was a local actually diving into the hole, just straight into the ocean. He would swim out to the ocean, come up, climb the rock, do it again. And I'm like, this is a pretty big hole. I bet I could fly straight down, rotate the drone around to see what's down there, and fly up. So I did it. And he was like, well, that was cool. And then Shannon comes over and she's like, oh, you did it? Do it again. And I was like, okay. So I flew straight down.
Pressing your luck.
I know. I don't know why I did it, but I did it again. And I see this wave coming, and I was like, oh boy. So I'm trying to bring it up. And I don't know if there was like a weird wind down there, but it started doing this rocky thing, and it smacked against the rock, and it just fell into the ocean. Luckily, on another rock. And the groom that was there in the Navy, he does submarine, he lives on a submarine for 6 months out of the year. He just dove into this hole, picked up the drone, tossed it back up, and there was a big wave coming, and we just yanked him out, and his wife had no idea.
Oh boy.
Which was hilarious. But yeah, so I crashed my drone in Hawaii.
So, but whenever there's a drone incident, do you still have the footage though, or is the footage?
Yes. I do have the footage.
You had the footage of the crash?
Yes.
Those are my favorite things. I think at one point
I'll have to post that.
I think we had like a little side reel of drone crash footage that we've did because I mean, anytime we would fly a drone, it was always like, with the biggest disclaimer of like, look, these are, prosumer, might get some aerial stuff, we're not charging you for it because we don't know if this thing's going to come back, you know? So like, we never put it on like, as a service, right? It's just always just like, we're hobby, like we're gonna, and if we get to use it, that's great. But, but but yeah, I mean, it was always a big disclaimer, like this thing, every time this thing goes, this is a $900 chance that we will probably not see this thing. And when we travel a lot with Inspirato, like that thing, like this was like early on drone days where it wasn't like super controlled. It was all manually operated. There's some GPS, like
but none of the
safety,
sensors they have now.
Now, you know, that thing would blow up every time. And I think we got a lot of good footage of broken drone stuff over the years, but I know you said you don't not to bring it up, but I knew you wanted to. No. This is a good story.
It is a good story.
So as we like kind of round this out, like you know, the professional side here, right? Obviously, you know, we do this as to make a living, and how is it professionally fulfilling for you to work on these projects and be a part of the Post House team? And kind of tell me a little bit about that, like that little box to check.
Yeah. Professionally, I mean, it's filmmaking is my hobby. It's what I love doing. It's what I think about all the time. I run a YouTube channel outside of here that.
Go ahead, plug it. What is
it?
It.
It's Curiosico.
Ooh.
It's Shannon and I, my girlfriend and I. We do creepy stuff. We're both into Halloween and the macabre and the true crime. So we go to spooky places and do spooky stuff. It's cool. So I love the visual storytelling. I love all aspects of filmmaking. It's hard for me to be in one hole. It would be hard for me to just be a motion graphics guy or just an editor, because
and honestly we don't look for that type of personality either. Like, you know, we want the well-rounded person that can kind of jump in, and
that's what's good. That's what's good about working here is it's like, hey, I want to go shoot something. All right, we'll go shoot it.
There's a camera.
Yeah, go do it.
Good ideas come from everywhere.
Yeah, and it's nice that because, you know, I get to work on a bunch of different things, I'm learning all the time. And I think that's just me as a person. Like, I've always just wanted to learn. I wanted to build a canoe a few years ago. I did not. But I learned a lot about woodworking, and I built 2 longboards. And it's nice. Longboards are a little different than filmmaking, but it's like, here's a thing that I've made that I can now use.
Right.
With the film, it's like, here's a thing that I've made. It's about the creation, and like you said, it's the process. I love the process of doing it. That's.
So other than Halloween in 2019, because you're a huge Halloween fan, you probably already have your costume picked out, or at least 9 of them. Yeah. What excites you about 2019 here?
It's an odd number.
Okay. Such an odd answer.
I mean, 2018 was weird. What excites me about 2019? I think we're going places. There's definitely a shift in things at Post House. We're still filmmakers and video production guys, but we do other things, and we can find solutions to a lot of things. Because we all have different backgrounds, and that's what's cool. Is
full circle. Here we go.
Yeah. I mean, the creative problem solver thing it's good, because that's really what we are.
And it is, and that's what we found out. Like, we always have been this, and that was like our differentiators. Like, you know, it may not just be a video that you need. Like, you know, like you have this challenge, and you know, through your organization, and a lot of the times content solves that problem, but really at the end of the day, you know, it's having 10, 12, 15 minds working on one thing on your behalf. And to your point, the levels of experience, great ideas come from everywhere. Solutions can, you know, there's no one way of doing things. There are best practices, but definitely, you know, I always like to start like that, you know, problem solving is like, what could we do? What's the craziest thing? And, you know, we never want, like, you know, obviously at some point budget becomes an issue, but we never try to start there. You know, it's always like, what can we do? How can we make this the best story to solve the problem? Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that articulated, right? I mean, cause like, it's kind of like that thing that like, you know, you do it, but like, you don't know how to talk about it.
Right.
So like, it's that challenge of, but then finally when you can put some words to it that makes sense, and it's been really well received so far, especially like, internally. Like, but yeah, you're right. I mean, we are, there is a shift, and the shift for me is exciting as well. So, well, Tony, I mean, we're gonna wrap up, but anything else you want to chit chat about? Any other plugs? Any like I know you said your second shoot on some weddings and things. So
yeah, if you guys are looking for wedding photography, Wise Photo Co.
We'll link it here. He's doing the thing. He'll link it.
Yeah, I'll edit it. Yeah. That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for taking the time to do this. It's fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we'll be back at it, I'm sure, again. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks.